All right, thank you. And hello, everyone. So actually, the presentation will be not as much about being about public participation, but about true democracy.
Yeah.
And by this, I mean being engaged in decision making, which
Mhm.
are, and these decisions can be final. It's kind of, strange, because we are used to this concept that, oh, a referendum or elections, these are like the main blocks of democracy. However, right now we have this new model or a new tool which we can use, which is a citizens assembly. So, but I would like to first start with some introduction of regard, like I would like to share a little story, how did it happen that I got involved in democracy anyway? I did study political science. Nevertheless, I was not really that keen on topic of democracy. So maybe I was not the best of students, but uh, later on, when I was thinking, how did it all started? It actually started with this book. And this book is about veterinarian, So for me, the whole adventure with democracy started with this book because when I read it, I thought, oh, it would be really nice to become a veterinarian. But you cannot study it in Gdańsk, in Gdynia, where I live. I would need to change city. So I thought, what is it that I really like care about? So at that time, it was nature conservation. So I would like to protect nature. That was my idea. So how do I actually do it? And I had this idea that I will be living in the forest and I will be counting deers, So that's how I imagined nature conservation. But then I realized that that's actually not very helpful, I can count those deers, but actually the air pollution doesn't care about the boundaries of the national parks. The trees can be locked down. And where is the problem? And at that time I thought, oh, the problem is actually the lifestyle of people. It's how we live, how we use the land and so on. But then I realized that it's not just that, but this came later on. So actually I wrote a thesis about a PhD thesis about sustainable development. I wrote about renewable energy, about nature conservation. I wrote about solar cookers, even in Madagascar. I wrote about forest gardens, about organic farming, and I realized there are so many solutions. The solutions were like already available like 20 years ago. Climate change, like, come on, we could have stopped it 20 years ago. So what is the reason for those solutions for sustainable development not being implemented as fast, as rapidly as they could be? And then I realized it's about decision-making process. That's the political process where it's all gets stuck. So, and then I thought, what can I do at that point? So we have started in the city of Sopot a small initiative which was aimed towards promoting sustainable development, but at the same time at improving democracy. It was more than 10 years ago. At that time, when you wrote in Google the Polish name for participatory budgeting, which is budżet obywatelski, the result was zero. So this was for us the starting point, because we wanted to promote sustainable development by changing the rules of the game. We wanted the citizens to become involved in decision making. And actually, the thinking was, if we can decide as citizens about where our money, because it's our money, goes, the public money is like our money. It was part of our, educational campaign for the residents of the city of Sopot. Do you know that the money in the budget of Sopot is our money? It's not the city hall's money. It's our money, and we can share it as citizens. We can, come together, have those deliberative forums, and then make a decision. But and we have started the first process of participatory budgeting and so on. I think it was like the campaign took us around 2 years. I think it was not bad, pretty fast, I would say now. So and the first process got started. But what I have realized that the quality of decisions when people just come and vote, and there is no debate about what is the strategic direction of development of our city, what are the priorities for development. the quality of a process like this, it's not really good. So, but I thought that, yes, we need to engage citizens in like a real meaningful debate, and we should have those open debates so that anyone can come and participate. And then someone said, you know, I will bring for those meetings 200 rugby fans, and they will vote as I will tell them. And then I realized, oh crap, this doesn't work either. So because if you can change the, if you can change the composition of the group, you can manipulate the outcome. So then I thought, all right, the deliberative democracy. So I knew about, deliberative polling, about random selection, but I thought it's not really democratic. Not everyone can participate, only those who were randomly selected. I didn't like this idea. But then I realized that there's kind of no other option. So it took us a couple of years, and in 2016, there was a major flood in the city of Gdańsk. So I approached the mayor, Paweł Adamowicz, and I suggested him to organize a citizens' assembly on the topic of how can we better prepare the city of Gdańsk for extreme rainfall in the context of climate change. This was the topic which was set up. And he said yes, he agreed. And that's how the first citizens' assembly in the city of Gdańsk started. And what does it mean, a citizens' assembly? It's a group of randomly selected citizens, and this group reflects a certain demographic criteria, such as age, gender, definitely, education. We invite people from all districts, and there could be also an additional question, like for example, in the city of Wrocław in Poland, since the topic of the Citizens' Assembly was related to transportation, there was also this additional question: how do you move around the city? Is it a car? Is it a bicycle? Do you move on foot? So that this additional question could improve or increase the credibility of the whole process. So, but anyway, the basic idea is you create a microcosm of your community, whether it is a city or a country, you reflect it in a small scale. Why? Because when your city is 100,000 people, it's kind of hard to get everyone together so that you can have a meaningful debate. So this is the reason for creating this microcosm, so that the group can fit in one room and so that you can have this meaningful debate. So, and actually the citizens' assemblies are kind of getting more and more popular around the world, and there is a good reason for it. One of the most famous ones was from Ireland. A group of 99 citizens debated about abortion. But actually for me, the main inspiration for designing the Citizens' Assembly for Poland came from Australia. The recent examples are from United Kingdom and France, where there were climate assembly held. And I have also included this picture of Belgium because in the city, not in the city, but in the region of East Belgium, which is the German-speaking community, they have created the first in the world permanent Citizens' Assembly. And this is the situation in Poland right now. The orange stars are the citizens' assemblies in progress. There is one in Warsaw, and there is one starting in the city of Poznań. And Krakow is preparing their own citizens' assembly. I think it's looking pretty good. All biggest cities in Poland have either organized a citizens' assembly or are at some stage of preparing one. So what is the reason for doing it all? It's the quality of those decisions, which are the result of a citizens' assembly. And definitely it's about this common good, which is at the heart of the process. So the citizens' assemblies work because the group is independent, and the group which is making those decisions is independent due to the random selection process. There is no party leader telling someone, oh, you can be number one on our list or number two. That doesn't work like this. Since you have this gender diversity, age diversity, there are many different perspectives in the room, and since people talk to each other, the deliberation part is a huge factor here. You can hear what other people think about this issue, so you can very well digest the whole topic and what are the proposed solution. And the whole process starts with the learning phase. So it's not like unlike referenda where you can just go and vote. Here you learn about the issue, and it can take many, many hours. All stakeholders, such as institutions and non-governmental organizations, they all come on equal grounds in our model. They can present their recommendations, their opinion, and so on to the Citizens Assembly directly. So, and as I have mentioned, the common good is at the heart of the process. It's not the benefit of the political party or some political leader. No, it's for the community. What's the best for us, the people who are in the room? What's the best solution for the particular topic? And since the whole process is guided by skilled facilitators, there is a very good atmosphere and favorable conditions for those deliberations, either in small groups or during the plenary. So these are the guiding principles for us, and it starts with a very basic idea of a democracy is for everyone. It's about fairness and credibility of the process, and definitely it's important that to keep in mind that in the democracy people are the sovereign. It means that they are making the final decisions. And from my perspective, also the aim of in democracy of this whole process is to improve the quality of life. We started, how do we approach the topic? We start with a workshop. These are the photos from the city of Wrocław. And you can see here in those photos representatives of the city hall, as well as NGOs. In this case, some of them were from the Extinction Rebellion, the climate group. And they were discussing what is the best of like a concrete specific topic for their city. Yes, it was around transportation, but actually, how do you, what are like the concrete issues that could be solved by the Citizens Assembly? And they have selected basically two of them. How the whole process is governed. You have the coordinating team, which is independent, and it can be supplemented by the design team, which creates the whole process. And definitely it is a good practice to have a monitoring team, which includes, for example, politicians, representatives of academia, and NGOs, which are monitoring the process according to the standards which are created, which are set for it, like, independent coordination, random selection, inclusiveness, and others. And in case there is this disagreement, this is a Polish specialty, this process, there could be a special arbitration if the coordinating team and monitoring team cannot solve something. So, and this process is described in detail in the new publication, which is called Rivendell Model, and you can download it from our website, climateassemblies.org. So how the process, since we know what is the topic, what is the next step? Then you can, you send out letters with invitations that there can be personal, or you can send them to households. There is also the method of, door-to-door knocking and recruiters, going around the city, which in some cases, such as places like Brazil and actually Lebanon as well, because there was an interest in organizing citizens' assemblies in Lebanon, and the best method could be actually door-to-door. But for us in Poland, the personal letters with invitations are the best. And once people receive the invitation, they can register on a special website or by phone, and you have a group of potential assembly members. And here you can see the letter of invitation from the city of Wrocław. When you open the envelope, there were two sheets of paper, one with the letter from the mayor, like signed by the mayor, and it emphasizes also that the decisions of the assembly will be binding, and that there is a fee for participants, 600 Polish zlotys, which is around 130 euros, something like this. And on the second sheet of paper, you have frequently asked questions so that everyone knows, everyone can learn what exactly this process is about. But also, is there lunch? What do I wear? Practical questions. Is it okay to come with a child, or is childcare provided? Something like this. So, and in this photo, you can see 20,000 letters with invitations, which are ready to be transported to post and sent out to the residents of the city of Wrocław. And once people register, once you have your group of potential candidates, in Poland, we do the final random selections by hand. We do it by rolling a dice. So it's all transmitted live on the internet. Here you can see the TV studio in the city of Gdańsk. And on the table, there is this glass bowl. Inside, there is a die. Above it, there is a camera. and you can watch it all live on the internet for transparency and credibility of the process. However, there are those new methods of random selection, which were created by a group of mathematicians from the Harvard and Carnegie Mellon universities from US. And the idea that they have come up with is to provide equal opportunity for all potential participants to being selected. So even though it's random selection, you can provide some kind of equality. So, but these are kind of complex mathematics formulas that's part of the whole paper which they wrote on it. Nevertheless, something like this is available, and it shows you how advanced is the thinking on citizens' assemblies currently around the world. So, but once you have your, with mathematics, once you have your group of participants in the room, it is your basic role to create the good atmosphere so that people get to know each other. These are the cities from the city. These are the photos from the city of Gdańsk. In Gdańsk and in Poland, when we organize the citizens' assemblies, we use the groups of 4 people. There is no table between them, and it's kind of inspired by the, not kind of, it is inspired by the method which is called the World Cafe. And it does work. So the small groups without the facilitators are perfectly fine for a citizens' assembly. And these are some rules which are agreed upon by the participants themselves, which help them, to go through the whole process, like respect, listening to each other, being open for asking questions, for listening, keeping up to the topic, and being present, not just physically, but also listening to what is going on. So, and the learning phase includes not just experts, but also stakeholders. So NGOs also have their time to present their recommendations and their position. So this is like a very, very important part for us. And here you can see the whole group in the city of Gdańsk debating, and you can see the cameras in the back of the room. So it's the learning phase, because this part is transmitted live on the internet. And you can see a friend of mine has connected his laptop to a TV set at home, and he was sitting on a sofa and watching the live transmission from the live broadcast from the Citizens Assembly, just sitting at home like it was, transmission from the parliament. And it is very important that the whole deliberative process, the Citizens Assembly, has got an impact. And the mayor of Gdańsk, Paweł Adamowicz, has agreed that whenever recommendations reach this level of support of 80%, he will consider them as binding. So it was a very courageous step. And even though it's not legally binding, it's binding by political will, which is very good. And the same situation we had recently in France. Here is the Emmanuel Macron. He's announcing that he will put on the table additional, I think the amount of money was 15 billion euro to implement the results of a French Citizens Assembly on climate change. So also it did have an impact. There were 143 recommendations accepted by the French president. All right, and to sum up, what are the key ingredients for the success of the Citizens Assembly? Definitely you need to design the whole process very well. It's important to trust in people, to trust in the wisdom of people, that they can come up with good recommendations. And definitely you invite the best experts possible, because people tend to follow what they hear from experts. However, experts should present diverse opinions, not just one perspective, the diverse perspective. And definitely what helps is the willingness to implement the recommendations. And it's not just the single topic Citizens Assembly which is possible to organize. You can create the whole model of deliberative democracy, a full-scale model of deliberative democracy on the national as well as on the local level. And you can read about more about the single topic Citizens Assemblies in the guide that Trevor has mentioned. It's available for download in, I think it's 6 languages. And if you have some more questions after the conference, please feel free to contact me by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcin. Thank you. It was very clear. I'm looking to see if we have any Q&As. I don't see that many, but so if there's anybody who would like to put a question, to either of the panelists actually, or a general point, or want to ask him, please just write something, we'll take it up. We have a few minutes. We've got until 15:40, so we have almost 15 minutes before the next session starts. So I think it'd be just good to dwell on a couple of things, Marcin, which I'd like you to comment on. This idea of representation, statistically based representation, you might say on age, occupation, and whatever. Do you think that's fine meshed enough? And do you think you miss any particular groups in you might say, looking from a social point of view, any groups who are not represented because either they don't want to or cannot? Do you also look at aspects of handicap? Do you also look at aspects of religion? Do you look, I mean, how fine meshed is this actually? Gender issues and so on? Or can you change these depending on the theme and the context of each assembly?
Well, basically, we have on the city level, we have 4 basic demographic categories. First is gender, second one is age, then it's district, and then it's education. And you can add a specific category which is related to the topic. And in our model, what is crucial is that any group which is interested in the topic does not need to be randomly selected to the assembly, because they can come as a stakeholder. And we have this rule that the coordinating team is not selecting stakeholders. So it's like when you have 10 NGOs and they all would like to come, then they are all invited and they can present their perspective. So if you have definitely with regards to people with disabilities, you know, during the first Citizens Assembly, I think it was like explicitly written in the letter that any disabilities, if you would like to participate, we will take care that you will be able to participate. But then, as was reminded by one of the civil servants, and she said, Marcin, you should not write it. That's like obvious for us. It will be taken care of. It's in all the strategies, just it will be done. So the building has got, and actually for the second Citizen Assembly, we did have a person on the wheelchair, and it's actually even sometimes you don't notice it because it's the access in the building was so easy. You know, he was moving around like comfortably, so it just works very well.
Okay, and just the question of age, how I can't remember if you said 18 or 16 or where are you in Poland, yes, to the lowest age?
Yes, in Poland we start with the age group of 18. There is a reason for it, which is we were using electoral roll, like the voters register, and it starts with 18. However, during the third Citizens Assembly, which was related to education, there were some issues which are related to young people. However, if your group is small, and even if you have a special category for young people from 16, even 15 to 18, there will be like 2 or 3 of them. It's not real representation. That is why we have organized a special workshop for young people from schools, from high school and from gymnasium at the time was, so we were like 12, 13 years old, something like this. And the group was larger, like 30 young people. So, and results from this workshop was presented by participants, by those young people, to the assembly to increase the representativeness, because just having 2 young people on the whole assembly, it looks nice, but it doesn't work, you know, because you can randomly select 2 young, quiet people who don't speak, and you've got a problem.
Yeah. Okay. There are a couple of questions now in the Q&A. I think Liva is mentioning this fee, and I wasn't quite sure whether it was euros or what it was, yes. But 130 seems quite a barrier. I would have thought to actually getting people. I would have thought you should pay people actually for taking part and encourage them rather than fine them.
Yes, you pay people.
Pardon?
You pay people. The fee is for participants. Of course, you pay them.
Okay, you pay them. It's not a fee.
Yes. No, it's a fee in the sense. Oh, okay. So it's maybe it's a the better word would be like a stipend.
They get a stipend. Okay, fantastic.
Oh, sorry.
All right, now we understand. I think there was confusion.
Sorry, if it was yes.
Yes.
maybe the word fee should not be used
No,
here,
but it's like a membership fee or a...
Oh, yeah. No. We pay people for participation.
Crystal is on. You can just jump in, Crystal.
No, yeah, and that's covered by whom? The stipend?
The whole budget is covered in Poland, in all cases, by the public money from the city hall. The city hall pays for everything. The total cost is around, in Poland, it's around 50,000 euro for the whole event.
Okay, and I had a question, what's the follow-up after the assemblies? Like, do you follow up with the participants who were there, and do you inform the people who were not there about the outcome, but also the progress of how you're, yeah. Okay.
Yes, but this part is on the side of the city hall. So, for example, in Gdańsk, after the first one, there was a special meeting. I think it was a year after the Citizens Assembly was completed, to announce to everyone and also, to the media, what is the progress. But as coordinators of the Citizens Assembly, we are not engaged in this because the implementation side is for the City Hall. It's not for us. So it's the City Hall which is responsible for the transparent way of explaining how the recommendations are implemented. So it's for this. There should be like, ideally, there is a website, all recommendations, what is the progress, who is responsible for it, and like updates like every year or every half a year, what is happening with recommendations. This is like the ideal way of going about it. And it's not always so, but that's how it should be done.
Can I ask you something about how the process in the actual meetings is? Because in one way, it's not just a measure. It's a good way to measure people's point of view and take decisions. It's also about changing perspectives, understanding issues, and perhaps changing viewpoints.
Oh, yes.
And obtaining some sort of consensus. So how is that moderated, and does that happen? Do actually people change? And how much are you pushing for that change, and how much, because you cannot be perhaps objective or you cannot be neutral, there will also be a kind of a pull and push in situations like that. So how is that mediated in a way that you feel is respectful and sensitive and doesn't, you might say, get the results which you want? So
yes,
it's
there are suspect. So Trevor, there are no results that we want as coordinators, and we don't push for anything. It's not our role. Our role is to create environment where people feel comfortable to speak, when they feel comfortable to speak to the whole plenary room, because for some people are shy, and they don't like speaking in public or something like this. Yeah. So your role is to make sure that there is a good atmosphere, that people feel safe, and that there is a chance for like presenting your views to the whole group, even when you are a shy person. How do you do it? For example, you have those deliberations in small groups. When you have just 4 people, then it's easier to speak up. And then there is someone making notes, and the person which is note taker then can present, your idea to the whole group, even if you don't do it yourself. So definitely the process includes like starting with a general vision of what we want, like what kind of city you would like to live in. In the city of Lublin, which was one of the topics was transportation, one of the participants said, I would like to wake up in the morning and being woken up by the sound of the pheasant. I don't want to hear the cars. I want to hear the birds. So this is, you start with this kind of general vision. And then you go, okay, what kind of measures, are related to transportation and so on. So the process is it's called a long-term deliberation. So it's not just one meeting. So for us, it's like 5, maybe even 7 meetings, and online it can be spread even longer, because as a basic rule, you allow people the time to digest the issue, but it's not your role to push them to change position or opinion. No, you just create the conditions, to reflect, to digest, and it's their decision at the end. So it's very important for coordinating to have this kind of attitude and mindset.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Kristen?
Sorry, can I ask small two questions? Do you see this, the assemblies, something that could be replicated in like Global South context, where
and they are.
Do you have an example? Because
Brazil,
like I don't.
yes.
Okay, but like in more like less
Uganda,
resource. Okay.
yes.
And also working in the online ballot and everything.
Yes, you know, oh, what do you mean by, so, okay, so first of all, definitely it's easy to organize a citizens assembly on the national level because your costs are very, very low if in comparison with referendum. In Poland, the cost of organizing a national level referendum is 70 million Polish zlotys. You would need to divide it into okay, but anyway, it's 70 million Polish zlotys, but the cost of one citizens assembly on national level is less than million. So you can organize 70 citizens assemblies for the cost of one national referendum. That's the case in Poland. On the city level, in the global south, it may be expensive. No, 50,000 euro, even for, yes, yes, so it might be expensive. So you would need a donor for it. However, your cost is not 50,000 euro. You would pay less because large part of your budget is the stipend for the participants. So this is a large chunk, you know, of the budget. Also, what is the cost of the room, of experts, and so on? So your cost in Kenya, for example, could be much, much lower. Mm-hmm. There is this, you know, we try to estimate the budget for the city in Italy, and we couldn't get lower than 70 or 80,000 euro. So because of the fees, of the how much people earn and so on. But in the global south, it goes down and it's below Poland.
Yeah, just also one last thing. I heard you say that you will be doing this in Lebanon, and yes. I know that those assemblies can also build social cohesion, because yes. You're bringing different people around yes. to discuss certain topics. But in the case of Lebanon specifically, because I'm from there, there's like lots of friction between the different socioeconomic, let's say, types of like groups of people, but also different religion, refugees and migrants and so on. So how do you make sure to have a fruitful dialogue when people are not really acceptant of each other from the onset coming to yes. this assembly?
Yes, but definitely you can include in places like Lebanon and also other countries around the world, you can include the criteria of ethnicity to make sure that all groups are represented. And when you invite people from the very start, you tell them what's it all about. But there will be those various groups and you will be there together. And it's the role of facilitators again to create this good atmosphere. So I know there was this one group who wanted to organize like a small citizens assembly in the district of Beirut Hamra. And I was personally in the small city in the north of Beirut. It was Durshwer in the mountains. So it's a very small 5,000 people. So there was a mayor who was interested in the deliberative process. But I don't know what's currently the progress, but there was some interest. But definitely the Citizens Assembly as a process can be organized with a group which is extremely divided, such as the case of Northern Ireland. Actually, you're thinking, you know, Lebanon is divided, but think about Northern Ireland, you know. So, and they have organized also discussion about their constitution. It was many years ago. The process was called the Consensus Conference. And recently they had it, I think the topic was healthcare or social care, something like this. So definitely it does work, even in environments which are post-conflict zones.
Thank you.